Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the August 26, 2025 Board of Police Commissioners meeting. We acknowledge that we are on the traditional lands of the Treaty 4 territory, a treaty signed with 35 First Nations across southern Saskatchewan and parts of Alberta and Manitoba, and the original lands of Cree, Saulteaux, Dakota, Nakota, Lakota, and on the homeland of the Métis Nation. It's echoing. Yeah, I know.
We're just working on getting the live stream going, so clearly there's a little bit of an issue, so we'll get that addressed.
No worries.
Apologies.
On July 29th, 2025. Any errors or omission? I will call the question. Thank you. Is anyone opposed? Carried. So our first item, the business today is PO 25-22, 2022, or 22, sorry, my apologies, 2024 Pursuit Review Board reporting. Acting Chief Davis, could you please introduce the report?
Absolutely. Good morning, everyone. Certainly welcome everyone here. Welcome to members of the commission, members of the public, members of the media, and certainly our members of the service. So every year, in an effort to enhance transparency and accountability, we provide public reporting on a number of areas, including use of force and the Pursuit Review Board. So today, in that vein, we have Inspector Sean Fenwick here. He is the chair of the Pursuit Review Board. He is going to present the pursuit numbers from 2024. Sean, please go ahead.
Thank you. Good morning. Good morning, Mayor, members of the board, Chief, thank you. Appreciate the opportunity to share this information relating to the Regina Police Service Pursuit Review Board and the process we have in reviewing the pursuits. I'm Sean Fenwick. I'm the inspector in charge of the North District, as well as the chairperson of the Pursuit Review Board. The Saskatchewan Police Commission mandates all municipal police services report vehicle pursuit statistics on a yearly basis. This report provides information on situations where a pursuit was initiated by members of the Regina Police Service for the reporting period January 1st to December 31st of 2024. The Regina Police Service is committed to ensuring that all vehicle pursuits are reviewed for compliance and adherence to federal laws, provincial standards, and local policies. Pursuit Review Board is comprised of 6 members at sergeant rank and above. We also have a member of the RPA appointed as an observer. The Regina Police Service operates with definitions corresponding to 4 levels to adhere to the Saskatchewan Police Commission standards. Categories and standards are as follows. Level 1, the pursuit action and tactic was appropriate and fully compliant with policy. Level 2, the pursuit action and tactic was appropriate but less than fully compliant with policy. Typically, coaching or training is recommended or provided. Level 3, the pursuit action or tactic was inappropriate, but no criminal charges were laid. So often there, remedial or disciplinary action is undertaken. And level 4, pursuit action tactic was inappropriate and there's criminal charges laid. In 2024, the Pursuit Review Board met 4 times. Board members were required to complete a thorough review of each incident. Prior to each meeting, the comprehensive review includes all police reports, supervisor critiques, in-car camera system video review, as well as audio transmissions. During each meeting, all pursuits were reviewed collaboratively and categorized appropriately. The board's findings, each pursuit were sent back through the chain of command to the appropriate officers, and any follow-up action was sent to the involved officer's supervisor. In 2024, the Regina Police Service were involved in 3 incidents deemed to be pursuit as defined by the Regina Police Service Manual. You guys okay with me continuing? The board's findings of each pursuit were sent back through the chain of command to the appropriate officers, and any follow-up action was sent to the involved officer's supervisor. In 2024, the Regina Police Service were involved in 3 incidents deemed to be pursuits as defined by the Regina Police Service Policy Manual. This was down significantly from 2023, which saw RPS members involved in 14 pursuits. That's a 79% decrease. So of those 3 that we reviewed, we deemed each of them as a level 2. So supervisory consultation took place. In each case, the incident was considered an applicable recommendations for coaching and training was implemented through the shift watch commander and direct supervisors. In addition to the pursuits captured, police were involved in 101 evade police files from 2024. An evade occurs when an officer attempts to conduct a traffic stop on a person suspected of violating the Traffic Safety Act or the Criminal Code, and the driver chooses not to stop. This was a 32% decrease in evade occurrences. So in 2024, we had 101. That was down from 148 in 2023, 221 in 2022. 2021 had 286 evades, and quite high in 2020 with 342. So we've seen a downward trend there. It's important to accurately report the number of evade police incidents. These numbers are meaningful as they depict the constant risk assessment our members make on a regular basis. Risk assessments take into account risk to the public, the police, and the subject, as well as the seriousness of the precipitating offense. In 2024, our members reported 101 evades, but chose to engage in a pursuit only 3 times. The number of pursuits have been steadily decreasing. This can be attributed to several factors. The addition of the Regina Police Service Aerial Support Unit has been a great tool for reducing the risks involving pursuits and capturing offenders. Offenders are being apprehended more often with decreased risk utilizing aerial support. The Regina Police Service has seen a steady decline in the quantity of stolen autos, which likely has an impact on evades and ultimately pursuits. The stats show stolen auto reports decreased from 914 in 2021 down to 565 in 2024. This is a 38% decrease over that time. The other factor worth mentioning is increased training, increased oversight into risk assessments and pursuits. Our members are strong risk assessors. Our officers understand the importance of de-escalation. Pursuits are not usually associated with de-escalation techniques. There have been many times where pursuit is necessary, and there will be times in the future where the risk created by a pursuit outweighs the risk and danger created by the pursuit. But you have to remember there are 4 levels of oversight. There's our frontline officers, then the supervisor, then the watch commander, and then finally our pursuit review board. As I said before, I really believe our frontline members are strong risk assessors. In 2024, the Regina Police Service members deployed a tire deflation device 19 times. A tire deflation device is a device designed to deflate tires. It's issued to the Regina Police Service for that purpose. And members may use the tire deflation device as defined in the Municipal Police Equipment and Regulations Act 1991 to stop fleeing vehicles when it's reasonably appropriate based on the potential loss of vehicle control. The police service considers tire deflation device deployments a use of force. Therefore, the Pursuit Review Board reviews each one of those to ensure deployments are safe and adherence to department policy. We also play a crucial role in overseeing the use of various police tactics, including reviewing all instances where a vehicle immobilization tactic is employed. The Regina Police Service utilizes special tactics for vehicle immobilization when dealing with high-risk situations, such as impaired drivers asleep at the wheel, or a driver posing a significant risk to the public or themselves. The primary goal in these interventions is to safely immobilize the vehicle while minimizing the risk to the public. Officers have special training in these tactics due to the inherent dangers. Maneuvers only properly trained and qualified officers to perform these tactics are utilized. Specifically, tactical vehicle immobilization can only be carried out by members who have completed necessary training and are using designated vehicles. For more complex scenarios, SWAT vehicle interdiction tactics, including boxing and deliberate vehicle contact, are reserved exclusively for SWAT members who have undergone specialized SWAT vehicle interdiction tactic training and are also using the designated vehicles. The use of SWAT tactics requires strict authorization. If a vehicle is stationary, the commanding NCO must authorize the tactic. However, if the vehicle is mobile, this deliberate contact can only be approved by the watch commander or critical incident commander. This tiered authorization system ensures appropriate oversight and decision-making during dynamic, potentially dangerous situations. Last year, we had 5 of those. 4 of them were considered a level 4. 4 of them were considered level 1, and 1 of them was considered level 2. This concludes my report on the Pursuit Review Board. Be happy to answer any questions if you want to bring some forward.
I have one. Thank you for the report, Mr. Fenwick. This in regards to the downward trend, what would be the one biggest reason that you would attribute this to be?
Besides our training, stolen autos being down, aerial support unit, I would think that, in my opinion, probably the predominance of fentanyl on our streets right now seems to have an effect on the amount of pursuits and stolen autos and high-risk behavior. So I think that's attributed to this as well.
So does this, other than the review board and reporting to the RPS Board of Police Commissioners, does it gets reported externally as well, such as to Stats Canada or Saskatchewan Police Commission or anywhere?
Yeah, we share this with the Saskatchewan Police Commission. It's mandated that once a year we provide these stats.
Yeah. Thank you. That's
Yeah.
all I got.
You bet.
Anyone else have any questions? Well, thank you very much for the report.
Thanks for your time.
So can I have a motion to receive and file the report, please? Thank you. I'll call the question. Is anyone opposed? Carried. So next one is PO 25-23, Regina Police Service Mid-Year Crime Statistics. Acting Chief Davis, could you please introduce the report?
For sure. So every year we provide a 10-year comparison of crime statistics at year end and also at mid-year. So we are pleased this morning to have Ms. Camelin Martin, who is a strategic analyst with our analysis unit, provide us with the mid-year crime statistics for the past 10 years. Camelin, please go ahead.
Thank you and good morning. Today I'll be presenting the Regina Police Service's mid-year crime statistics for the period from January to June, covering the years 2016 to 2025. This report is designed to give an overview of crime trends in our city over the past decade, with an emphasis on the data visualized through the various charts provided. We'll start with total crime. Total crime includes offenses against persons, property, and other criminal code violations, excluding traffic and drug-related offenses. 25, Regina Police recorded 8,342 crimes, showing a 15% decrease from 2024 and a 17% decrease compared to 2016. To get a more detailed understanding of what's driving total crime numbers, we'll now look a little closer at different crime categories. The first category is crimes against persons, also known as violent crimes. The presented values reflect the number of victims of violent offenses rather than the total number of incidents. Violent crimes decreased by 15% from 2024 to 2025, but have increased by 18% compared to 2026. The number of homicide victims in Regina has varied over the past 10 years. The number peaked in mid-year 2020 with 8 victims, then decreased to 3 victims in both 2023 and 2024. The number of victims increased moderately in 2025 to 5. Attempted murder saw a peak in 2019 with 25 victims, but this number decreased to 11 in 2025, while showing some fluctuation year over year. The next chart focuses on various categories of assaults from 2016 to 2025. In 2025, there was a 17% overall decrease in assault victims compared to 2024. The number of victims decreased by 22% for level 1 assaults, 6% for level 2 assaults, and 54% for level 3 assaults. The overall decline in victim numbers was largely driven by reductions in level 3 assaults, assaults against peace officers, and discharge with intent. The next chart displays trends in sexual offenses, including sexual assaults and other sex crimes. At mid-year 2025, 120 sexual assault victims were reported, which is above the 2016 to 2024 average of 95, indicating an upward trend. 44 victims of other sex crimes, such as sexual interference and luring a child online, were reported in the first half of 2025, which is down from 54 victims in 2024, but higher than the 2016 to 2024 average of 40 victims. The next chart shows robbery statistics. At mid-year 2025, the number of robbery victims decreased by 29% compared to 2024 and by 15% compared to 2016. A total of 104 robbery victims were reported in the first half of 2025, which is below the 2016 to 2024 average of 132 victims. Notably, street robbery victims dropped significantly, a 49% decrease from 2024. The next chart shows the number of kidnapping and forcible confinement victims. At mid-year 2025, there were 7 reported victims, which is consistent with the number reported in 2024 and slightly below the 2016 to 2024 average of 9. The last chart in this category shows criminal harassment cases. 9 victims were reported in the first half of 2025, which is below the 2016 to 24 average of 12 victims. The second category examines crimes against property, including theft, break and enter, mischief, and arson. Overall, property crimes have decreased by 17% from 2024 to 2025 and by 26% compared to mid-year 2016. While the overall trend in property crime continues downward, identity fraud emerged as an exception, increasing by 114% compared to 2024. The next chart focuses on general theft incidents, excluding motor vehicle theft. Thefts have decreased by 12% compared to the same period in 2024 and by 13% compared to mid-year 2016. Notably, theft from auto under 5,000 saw a significant 30% decrease from 2024. The next chart tracks the trends in theft of motor vehicles from 2016 to 2025. In 2025, there was a 30% decrease in the theft of motor vehicles compared to 2024, and a 63% decrease compared to 2016, reflecting a significant reduction over time. The next chart provides a breakdown of break and enter incidents, categorized by property type: residential, business, and other properties. Overall, reports of break and enter incidents declined by 37% compared to 2024 and by 39% compared to 2016. Compared to 2024, break and enter incidents decreased by 20% to residential properties, by 25% to business-related properties, and by 50% to other properties. The next chart highlights incidents of mischief and willful damage. In 2025, significantly increased over the past 10 years, with 298 cases reported in the first half of 2025, more than double the 2016 to 2024 average of 129. Increases were reported across all arson categories: bin, structure, vehicle, and other, compared to mid-year 2024, with bin fires accounting for the majority of cases in 2025, representing 54% of all reported arsons. The next section covers other criminal code violations, which include procedural offenses, offensive weapons violations, and other select offenses. In 2025, there was a 10% decrease in these violations compared to mid-year 2024, and a 15% decrease compared to mid-year 2016. Procedural offenses, also known as administration of justice offenses, made up approximately 86% of the total cases in this category. These include breaches of bail, fail to attend court, and breaches of probation. At mid-year 2025, there were 12% less procedural offenses compared to 2024, and 16% less than 2016. I'll now move on to Controlled Drugs and Substances Act, or CDSA, offenses and traffic violations. The next chart shows CDSA offenses. In the first half of 2025, there was a 23% decline from 2024 and a 77% decline compared to mid-year 2016. The significant long-term decline is largely due to changes in prosecution priorities and guidelines, which have focused less on minor possession offenses. Now we'll look at traffic violations under the Criminal Code. This category includes offenses such as dangerous operation, flight from police, impaired driving and refusals, failure to stop, and prohibited driving. As of mid-year 2025, traffic violations increased by 28% compared to the same period in 2024, though they remained 33% lower than at mid-year 2016. Most offenses within this category saw increases compared to 2024. The next chart shows the number of traffic tickets issued. There was a 15% increase from mid-year 2024 to 2025. Automated speed enforcement tickets also increased in the first half of 2025, a 13% increase from 2024. Combining both categories, total traffic tickets issued in 2025 increased by 14% from 2024, but were 38% lower than tickets issued in 2016. The final section covers calls for service. As of mid-year 2025, dispatch calls for service decreased by 3% from both mid-year 2014 and 2016. Alarm calls decreased by 5% compared to 2024 and by 46% compared to mid-year 2016. In conclusion, the data presented in these charts offers a detailed view of crime trends in Regina over the past decade. Overall, total crime continues to trend downward, although patterns vary by category. While there are positive developments, our data indicates that there are still areas requiring ongoing attention. This report is crucial in helping us understand the current crime dynamics and will guide our future strategies and decision-making processes. Thank you for your attention, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thanks for the report, and it's good to see all the numbers going down. Does the board have any questions on it? Go ahead, please.
Except for arson. It would be helpful if we could split that up into the parts. Are you able to do that?
I don't have the numbers here with me right now on arson or.
Yeah.
Let's see.
I can just add to that, Councillor. So we just started breaking down the arson numbers at the start of this year, I believe, and so we probably won't have that historical data in terms of bin fire, structure fire, like earlier than 2025.
Yeah.
But I think anecdotally, probably those percentages are probably half of them for the most part are, garbage fires.
Which is, as you could tell, probably what I want to talk about, since I talked about it at the last meeting. There's probably a difference. I mean, you tell me, of somebody wanting to set a house on fire versus setting a bin on fire. One seems like an intentional harm to others, and one seems like a protest of some kind, perhaps. Can you give us some light on those?
Yeah, I think for the most part, the people setting bins on fire, I would classify that as more of sort of a social disorder. So something along the lines of graffiti, something that people might consider a less serious crime, potentially victimless. And so folks that are just aren't looking to harm someone, are just, for whatever reason, maybe they're infatuated with fires or they have nothing better to do. That's typically what we see in terms of those arsons. And then the other piece is, because most of them are occurring in back alleys where there's nobody around, it's quite difficult for us to hold those offenders accountable. And then if we do arrest and catch people, the consequences in terms of what happens to them if found guilty, typically we're looking at some conditions they might be placed upon them, but certainly we're not taking them out of the community to prevent sort of further damage.
And the bins themselves, how about taking them out of the community?
Well, I know we are working currently, our arson investigator is working with your city folks to determine what strategies might look like to address some of those outside of enforcement. So I know that that work is continuing. And I know we've advocated, especially in key areas where we see that there has been sort of an abundance of those fires, is maybe increased collection, collecting more frequently so that we don't have that sort of buildup. If they're empty, obviously they're hard to start on fire. So I know that's one of the things that is being considered for sure.
When a fire has been started in a bin, what resources are sent to that bin?
Well, sometimes we won't know about it until well after the fact. So obviously the fire department would get dispatched if that's in progress type of thing. But lots of those are reported to us after the fact. So either via online reporting or fire will report a bunch to us after the fact. They might say, oh, well, we went to 5 bin fires earlier this week. Here are our reports. So they're typically. We're not dispatched unless somebody does call it in progress, which does happen, but for the most part, we're advised of it after the fact.
So the fire department would provide a report to the police?
Yes, yeah, they make reports through our arson investigator and just ensure that there's good communication back and forth. They work really closely together. So,
What are we hearing in those reports? Is there anything useful?
well, I think, obviously if we have something happening in a specific location over a specific time frame, we can send resources there. So we can let our patrol officers working in that district know, hey, can you direct attention? We've seen an increase in fires in these, for instance, back alleys or in this area. So if you've got a little bit of free time, consider spending, time in those areas. So we certainly do, add that to our proactive work that happens. I mean, sometimes they might have information about a potential suspect if somebody comes forward with information, and certainly they share that with us.
I'm just thinking that, you set a blue bin on fire that's mostly paper. You set a garbage bin on fire and there's possibly toxic fumes coming from that too. It's not just the danger of other things catching fire around it. So not a smart thing to do. I don't know how we communicate that. They're just hurting themselves by doing this if
Yeah.
they live in the area.
For sure. Well, we can have our arson investigator and fire talk about potentially if there's some media that we can work on collaboratively in terms of sort of being preventative.
Yeah. Thank you.
Anything else? Go ahead, Manvir.
I just want to mention something to correct. At one point, she said to 2026 and carried on. I just want to correct that was 2016 for the purpose of reporting.
Thank you for catching that.
Go ahead, please.
Talking too much today. On the sexual assaults piece, have we changed the way we measure those in the last decade? Is that why that number has gone up?
No, what we have done is we've worked really collaboratively with our partners, Regina Sexual Assault Center, in terms of, I would say, we do a better job of being trauma-informed, victim-informed when it comes to taking those reports. We work really collaboratively with the Regina Sexual Assault Center so that if they have somebody, they might bring them to us, or we work together to ensure that we're providing the best support for survivors of sexual trauma. And then I think, generally speaking, there has been a lot more conversation around sexual violence. If you think about the Me Too movement, I think that because people are more aware, people are talking about it, we have seen increased reporting. And so I think that those sexual assault numbers speak to more people reporting them and not more instances. And we see that as a good thing because people trust us to be able to provide good service and to be able to have confidence in us to be able to come forward and not be re-traumatized.
Okay. Sorry to focus on the two that went up so much, but
No, that's
that's
okay.
the first place my eye goes. But I think, as our chair has said, there's a lot to be happy for and thankful to you for in terms of numbers going down. So thank you all.
All right, yeah, go ahead, please.
Thank you for the report and the information. It might be helpful, just for my brain and maybe others, to be able to show the numbers in relation to population as well, just so we can kind of see the scale that we're talking as population increases, something that appears to be more level in statistics, compared to population would maybe look a little bit different. So just another kind of way to look at it as our city grows. And then just a question around traffic violations. We have a bit of a pop there. Is there any one category that we're seeing that's significantly impacting that?
I think in terms of the traffic tickets, in terms of the numbers going down, or are you talking about the traffic violations?
I was looking at the traffic violations, just seeing a bit of an increase from 2024 to 2025.
I don't know, Camelin, are you able to provide any more information there in terms of what sort of led to that increase? I know that we did reference some impaired driving and dangerous driving. Impaired driving exceed has led that, so clearly some more enforcement around impaired driving can account for the biggest part of that increase.
Okay, thank you.
Go ahead, Robert.
I agree that a population line would be helpful. If we could also add a officer count, I think that would be equally beneficial for us. Thank you.
I believe there is another measure for that is sometime being referenced as a crime severity index as well, and so that is a good measure which takes into account the population of the city as well, if I'm not mistaken, and the size of the city when they are measuring the CSI index.
So the crime severity index is a weighted index, so things like homicide obviously rate higher and sort of hold more weight in terms of what that number looks like. And then the other thing to consider is that is the census metropolitan area, so it's not just the city of Regina proper, it also includes our surrounding areas as well. We can certainly include that into this report if you like. We do bring that report forward annually as well. So
I think it might be valuable to provide some benchmark, especially to a comparable city like us, to provide a little bit better context. I hate to say this, but I think for general public, it is we have to realize that we would love to see number go down to zero, but will never happen. I think all we can do is, as Mayor said, the education and awareness is one of the things that we can focus on, especially on arson type of situation, and how that is impacting others as well. So I think the focus might be that, in addition to what all the great work that RPS has been doing in the community, that will be very, very relevant to that. If there are no further questions, can I have a motion to receive and file the report, please? Oh, sorry. Go
So
ahead,
just
Robert.
to quickly clarify, when we say bins, are we talking the residential bins or the large commercial bins, or a combination thereof?
I think it includes both, yeah.
Both. Okay, thank you.
All right, can I have a motion to receive and file the report, please? Thank you. I'll call the question. Anyone opposed? Carried.
Thank you.
Thank you for the report. Next one is PO 25-24. Acting Chief Davis, could you please introduce the report?
certainly. I know we've talked a lot about crime statistics already, so I'll try to keep this brief. This is the July report, and you'll note that the previous one went until the end of June. So this total crime in July decreased by 16.7% over last month and 16.8% compared to the same time period last year. Both categories of crimes against the person and crimes against property have shown similar decreases, although there have been notable increases of reports in both homicide and arson. Criminal traffic code violations have increased specific to impaired exceed as well as dangerous driving. You'll note this report is in a new format, so we've included a little bit more information in it, but we hope you will find informative and relevant. In relation to homicide, as noted, we've had 8 so far this year. Those numbers tend to fluctuate, as you could see from the previous report, year over year. What I would like to highlight, in every case, we have laid charges in all 8 of those instances. I think that's really all I want to highlight, but certainly happy to answer any questions on this report.
Does the board have any questions on this report, please? All right, can I have a motion to receive and file the report? Thank you, Anastasia. I'll call the question. Is anyone opposed? Carried. Can I have a resolution for the private session, please? Thank you. I'll call the question. Anyone opposed? Carried. I will recess for 20 minutes, please. Thank you.